Hey everyone, it is Dr. Kyle Olson at Chiropractic First of Rockford, and I want to share today a thought of the week specific to a gene mutation, and one you may have heard about as it's gained some popularity, gained some traction and attention in media over the last couple of years. And that is the gene mutation on the MTHFR gene. Now, there's actually several different mutations that can happen on this particular gene. So it's not one singular thing. It can happen. There's different forms of it. It can happen in different locations on the gene. So this is more of a broad statement or a broad thought on what some of the side effects are of that gene, not getting into the very specifics of specific mutations that happen, if that makes sense. So if this is something that you're really curious about, I'd really encourage you to do a deep dive, do some further research with articles, and research articles, papers, things like that, if you feel like this is something that is affecting your health. But this is a very common mutation, or at least it's become much more popular and mentioned on social media and traditional media, starting actually a number of years ago when it was found, or believed at that time at least, to have a correlation to incidences of increased risk of breast cancer. The first time I remember learning about this mutation specifically was when the actress Angelina Jolie chose to have a voluntary mastectomy in order to reduce her perceived risk of breast cancer when she found out that she had this particular mutation. It's a fairly prevalent mutation. Now, this varies by population. It varies by your ethnicity. But the belief right now from research that's most recently published is that white or Caucasian and non-Hispanics, the prevalence of some of these mutations are between 20 to 40% of the population. It looks like it's a little bit higher in Hispanic, Hispanic population as well, up to almost 50%. So this is something that's fairly common. But again, I'll stress there's several different mutations that can happen at different sites and different types of mutations there. So it's not, it can vary greatly by the individual of how severe or if it even really is having an impact. One thing to understand about a gene mutation is that just because you have it doesn't mean that it's always affecting your health negatively. In fact, there's a lot of, as we learn more and more about gene mutations all throughout our genome, research is showing more and more that it's not as devastating as maybe the thought was, or it's not this, I'll say, life sentence that if you have this, you are absolutely going to have this specific thing happen to your health in a poor way. In fact, there's a whole field of study called epigenetics that's taken off over years now, understanding the impact that the environment you put your genes in or you put your body in through food and nutrition and mental stress and things like that actually has a huge impact on which genes and mutations get turned on or off. So the MTHFR mutation is one that specifically, at least when it comes to your nutrition and supplementation and your body's ability to metabolize, it codes for an enzyme that helps your body metabolize folate, or the B9 vitamin. And that is really important because folate, or folic acid as we consume it most of the time, is really important for DNA repair. So as we age, naturally our DNA breaks down more and more. And when we're young, it's a lot easier for our bodies to repair that DNA and to not have mutations, not have bad copies made with new cells, things like that. But as we age, those processes start to break down, and we're more and more likely to have mutations or things go wrong when that happens. MTHFR and the enzyme that it makes is very important to making sure that we can continue that process as we age. It also helps with energy production. It helps with detoxification protocols in your body as well. And so some of the more common symptoms of somebody that has this mutation, if they're feeling symptoms, would be things like drowsiness, lower energy, lower mental cognition. Those are some of the things that are most commonly reported. Now, those are very common symptoms for a wide array of disorders and diseases out there. So it's something that's very often missed, or it's maybe put under a different classification or a different diagnosis. So the best way to understand if you do have this mutation is actually to have a genetic test done. And this is a fairly common genetic test. It's available at a lot of clinics. In fact, we offer it here at Chiropractic First of Rockford for our clients. So if you are a client and you're curious if this is something that your body's dealing with, and you're not metabolizing B9 or folate the way that you should, certainly talk to your doctor or another representative here at the clinic, and it's something that may be appropriate for you to have the test and find out if that's the case. But what this means for the overwhelming amount of people that would have this mutation is that your body simply can't produce the enzyme in the quantities that it needs or the quality that it needs in order to metabolize folate and avoid these side effects. One of the things that you can do is to make sure that you're getting methylated B vitamins, methylated B9 specifically for this mutation. What that does is it doesn't rely on that enzyme in your body in order to make it a usable form of the vitamin. It just goes in naturally that way. And so one thing when you're looking at the quality of vitamins that you buy, especially a B complex or a multivitamin where these are most commonly found, you want to make sure that it's using a methylated version of folate. Now, it's something that we at Chiropractic First offer through our supplement line. It's something that's available on some of the higher end supplements that are out there, but unfortunately, a lot of the more common lower quality multivitamins on the shelf, whether it's at a pharmacy or a retail store, do not have methylation in their formulation. So you're likely getting a form that your body can't use if you actually have this mutation. So a lot of information about this particular gene mutation, MTHFR. Dive deeper, research, talk to your physician if you feel like this is something that you may be suffering from or that you have and you need to understand better what your supplementation needs would be. If you are a client here at Chiropractic First, do not be afraid to talk to your doctor or one of the staff members about getting a test to see if this is the case and what you can do to level up your metabolism and your supplementation game. Have a great day.